All right, in this fifth video, I'm going to kind of return to a thought that we had in our opening as we consider God our Father who's in heaven for the sake of Christ, giving us all confidence, boldness to pray for whatever is on our hearts, knowing He will answer perfectly, can do all things, and give us what we truly need. We just think about this, just in the introduction, how many of us have given that much thought to when we start out in the Lord's Prayer, our Father who art in heaven, how full of meaning that is. We can see why, as we're going to remember today, that Martin Luther would call this the greatest martyr of all in Christendom. Every time this prayer is said, how often isn't it slaughtered? Because it's empty of any real meaning. We just know it so well. We just say it, but we don't think through it. So this is an exercise in helping us, again, refresh ourselves in what we're truly offering up in the Lord's Prayer, what we're asking for. So why do you think Martin Luther then would say this, maybe in your own life? If he looked at your prayer life every time you said the Lord's Prayer, could you agree that so often you've offered it up without really giving it much thought? Think about how often it is said just then around the world. So what can you do? Here's the main question for today. What could you do to prevent the Lord's Prayer from being abused when you and your family say it together? Matthew 15:8, just a thought from the scriptures about avoiding that temptation, not falling into this idea where we just say the words as if God appreciates just the hearing of the syllables, void of any meaning. Jesus said, "These people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me." Of course, in confessing our sins, of slaughtering the Lord's Prayer, of saying it without meaning, Jesus invites us to continue to pray. And in these petitions that we'll consider, the requests, there's 7 of them in the Lord's Prayer. We're going to find one in particular that addresses our sin. All right, so just finish up with your conversation then on what can you do to prevent saying the Lord's Prayer without thought. God bless your discussion, and we'll see you in our last video on the address.